want to
fun
check all
stuff.
these other spaces real quick to end this on stepping on another trail.
Well, obviously there's one right here.
Oh yeah, dude.
No.
Yeah.
All right. So that was that. How did you guys? Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. How
All right,
did you guys feel about ONE DnD? What was your take?
My first thing is like the inspiration. I really like that. I feel like it can get a little. It might snowball pretty quickly, as we kind of saw. I think we all had inspiration at one point, and we were struggling to use it, or like we got more of it, and we're like, well, what do we do with it now? Just pass other people. But I really like that. The inspiration stuff.
And it took us a while to realize it, but once we got to the point where okay, it could snowball real quick, we just started using it more often.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which would roll advantage.
Knowing how easy it is to get back, easier even than Giphy Glyph. I mean, so easy to get back, especially since how frequently you can roll advantage anyways. It feels like if you have it and you have to roll and you don't have advantage, you might as well use it because there's a very good chance you're going to get it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you lose it on a rest, right? You lose it
on long rest. On long rest.
Yeah.
I also like that humans get it. Yeah, I like that humans get it.
Yeah, it just makes it the humans always start with one in the day.
Yeah.
And then
it's a great representation of the human tenacity that people try to kind of homebrew in to try to capture. We have a human tenacity basically for non-variant humans where they could pick that as if you fail you can kind of re-roll a check or whatever. So kind of keeps that theme.
Regular human as it is now is kind of boring. It's good, but it's boring. So I feel like the inspiration they get at the long rest adds something to them,
Yeah.
In a vacuum where there's no other way to generate inspiration, there's no raw way in the regular game. There's no way to get inspiration except from the DM. So.
Right, and they're definitely trying to move away from that, just like A5E and Giphy did. Because there are a lot of groups where the DM just doesn't use it.
Or they forget, or they got a lot of stuff to do.
They don't remember to use it, or they use it essentially as social engineering, right? You're doing things that I like. You brought me pizza. You remembered that I love Cadbury cream eggs. They're giving out inspiration for those kind of reasons instead of equitably, right? This system. It lets the dice decide. It lets mechanics decide, just like A5E does, and just like Giphy Glyphs does. So I think that's the right direction.
It just makes Nat 20s more exciting.
It does. It does. I don't think you need to auto succeed on a Nat 20 if you're getting inspiration out of it, anyways. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's the number one favorite house rule in the entire world in the history of mankind. Is a Nat 20 always succeeds and a Nat 1 always fails, but.
It's one thing I guess I don't know. We kind of didn't test it at all really that much here because there was never a time where we got a nat 1, but we would.
Well, you guys got a lot of nat 1s.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, but you would have still succeeded, right? You're too low in level to benefit from that. Yeah. It's only really punishing to high level characters. That rule is really only punishing to high level characters,
which is it's not the majority of.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's probably why it's such a common rule because no one really plays that high, and so you never get the.
But let me tell you, when Red Hand of Doom switched over to Skills of War, right away they were like, "Whoa, this sucks," and as a group, they were they voted the rule out. They were like, "We don't want to fail on a 1 because we worked hard to get this strong. It doesn't make sense for us to fail on a 1." Yeah, that's dumb.
I'm still in the boat of attacks and saves, fine. Skills, no.
Yeah. And at this level range, there was really no way to see how that works because it's not like I sent bad guys against you or DCs against you that you wouldn't have been able to reach with a Nat 20 anyways. So really that's only impactful, in my opinion, at higher levels of play or if your low-level people are shooting for the moon and you're letting them. You know what I'm saying? If you're allowing rolls on stuff that they probably shouldn't be able to do anyways, it's just kind of silly. So
hey, I want to jump up this 40-story this mountain.
Yeah.
Single jump. Can I roll in athletics?
Well, no, that's the thing. It's you're not supposed to let them roll for stuff that should be
right.
So there's no confusion there.
Here's a good rule of thumb that was always in place for people that use this was only allow the roll if you want it to actually happen. Because let me tell you, if you allow the roll on something that you're like, they'll never make it, that's the one they're always going to make. They're always going to make it. Like, you just need to say, I'm sorry, it's just outside of your ability to do. And that's a hard thing as a DM, because for many years, there was this whole school of thought that, like, just say yes. But much like raising children, just say yes isn't a good way of being an authority figure. It's not a good way of being a referee. How would an NBA basketball game be if the referee just said yes all the time? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, well, it looked really cool when I traveled with the ball and I got that slam dunk. So you're gonna let it go, right? I mean, rule of cool, right? I mean, it was a cool slam dunk. Yeah, but you didn't follow the rules that we all agreed upon. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like just say yes is. Yeah, rule of cool is great, but only if the group dynamic supports it. If you have a lot of like rules lawyer people who enjoy the rules, live and die by the rules, they're here to see how well they can do within the rules. A DM that goes rule of cool all the time, there's going to be people in the group that feel that that's inequitable. They're going to feel like that's not a good experience. Like, and it puts the DM in a weird situation. Well, you said his thing was cool enough, but you didn't say her thing was cool enough. Who are you to decide what's cool and what's not cool? Right? So it's definitely yeah, I could definitely understand why they want to include it, because it's the most fun and most popular house rule. Is a nat 20 always succeeds and that one always fails. But I don't know. I'm still not sold on that.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine if it stays a house rule.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like with Uno. Like everybody has their own set of rules for.
Something that surprised me was how much I actually enjoyed not critting with the monsters. Low level kobolds rolling with pack tactics. I mean, that can get out of hand real fast. Real fast.
And the swarms, like I definitely did take a crit that would have killed me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
I've seen so many people died at massive damage, and things like that, and at low levels because of crits. So I definitely understand why they'd want to get rid of crits. But I do
feel
think
like
that
I kind of miss it on bosses, though.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they're at a certain tier of play, like, and then reintroducing it. Maybe like for low levels, just getting started out.
Or as some people have theorized, they're gonna redesign the way they do monsters. So there's gonna be a lot more stuff like the fight you had here, where some of the monsters had special moves, and some some of the monsters had recharges, and lower level monsters had legendary actions on them, and things like that.
Centipede poisons me on a crit.
Right. Yeah, that could be a thing too. Is like a nat 20 triggers this, but it doesn't necessarily cause a bunch of damage. So we don't know until the monsters are redone how this is going to impact play. But I felt like I think it was a good decision.
I feel like it puts a little bit less like pressure off the DM about like, okay, it makes sense for this person to attack this person, and I don't feel like scared that I'm just gonna crit this person, they're gonna die without me.
Well, it certainly helps you balance an encounter a lot better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you know that they're always going to do, like, some groups play with static damage. So like if you always know this kobold's going to do 4 damage, you can have a better sense of like, they could take a couple more hits from this kobold. But if there's if that kobold got a crit on its sneak attack, now we're looking at an extra 2d6 damage on top of the damage that are, or a d6 and d4 on top of what it already did. That escalates pretty quick.
It's also easier for the healer to manage because I'm looking at a ally and go, okay, well they're next to a kobold, they can take 1 or 2 more crits, or 1 or 2 more hits, excuse me, and then a crit comes around, and you're like, oh god damn it. It's kind of the same mindset of like, how much time do I have to get over there, kind of deal.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really cool. Let's see, what other new stuff did we try out? I liked
all the feats.
I liked all the feats. I thought all the feats were good. I thought that they were equitable to each other. The only bad feat that I've seen is the musician or whatever it is. That seems to be the only like really bad feat.
Well, here's my question: are they planning to like rework all the feats and just have like a section that's first level feats, and then
yes, it's gonna be tiered, level gated, tree based feats like they used to do in 3rd edition. And
Trees.
yeah,
But that sounds
I-
good too,
I-
because the
I
human
don't know if
fighter
they're
that
gonna-
takes sharpshooter at level 4 because he knows he's got people are gonna cast bless on him. He knows he's gonna have a pretty high bonus. Not likely to
Yeah.
miss. It's just killing and taking all the fun away from everyone else.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're gonna do trees, but I do know they're gonna do levels.
It's level gated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
and
think I'm
honestly,
okay with
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because it's like I remember. I know sometimes players they go variant human, they rush sentinel, polearm master
Yeah,
all the time, all the time. So like having a level gated for those feats might make things a little easier and easier to make combats at lower level, especially.
Mhm.
Right, and that's what we homebrewed anyways. Like we banned them for like over a year, and then we brought them back when I think it was Strixhaven revealed that they were going to start level gating feats. We were like, oh, okay. So then we just brought all the banned feats back, but we made them level gated.
And I also
Yeah.
I also like that it's just baked in now. Like I know it's definitely a popular house to get first level feats. I love getting first level feats because it helps me like
Mhm.
define a little bit of my character before even going into the thing. Like
Well, first level's so boring.
yeah, exactly.
That's why a lot of people skip it.
So I took the Magic Initiate Druid. Like, oh, John's met some druids and he's learned a couple things. Then I took tough because I wanted John to be a tough guy. So it worked out.
Yeah.
So
And
did you
if
get
you're-
2 feats
oh.
as a human?
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah, because they get
You
they
get
pick-
one?
They pick skilled or something else, and I know Helena went skilled, so I just picked something else. So I just went tough.
Okay.
And then they get one from the background.
Yeah, and then background
Yeah,
feat, which
okay.
was I took the guide, and then it gave me Magic Initiate Druid.
I guess if feats are gonna be
Fine.
leveled
Or
the way they
fine.
are, I guess that's like fine. So you can't like pick a like a
Right, yeah, like
Yeah,
you get
like
access
feat
to
on
an,
top
you get
of each
access to
other.
an extra feat, but it's also a level 1 feat.
Yeah,
so like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, credit where credit's due. Pathfinder 2, they're definitely cribbing all the best things from Pathfinder 2, because leveled feats are a Pathfinder 2 thing, and they are smart. It's just smart design. Because yeah, a human has 2 feats, but are you really that jealous? I mean, are the feats all that good that you're like, damn?
Mhm.
Man, I don't know if having an extra feat is as cool as being able to grow wings and fly and all these other things, or have innate racial spellcasting ability that scales with your level. Like, there's still a lot of reasons why you wouldn't play a human, because it's like, okay, it's cool you get 2 feats, but they're like first level feats. You can't build
Yeah.
like a broken, busted build at
But then
first
that
level
other
like you
the
can now.
Ardling also gets a free feat, so it's like but
But you
One-
get 2 as a human.
if they're the good
Yeah.
this first level like baby feats, then
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think
As
speaking
long as,
on
as long as they
races
design it
still-
right, it should be fine.
Oh, on the races.
on the races, when I was looking through the races, languages aren't tied to your race anymore. If that's
So no.
correct.
No, some races get 1, like Dragonborn automatically get Draconic.
Yeah.
But everybody
I-
starts off with 3, just base.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe I totally missed that in character creation because I didn't know Elvish, so I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, weird.
You-
I got
so
giant
you
for my
always-
background, and then
Yeah, you
Yeah,
start
maybe
off.
I missed it then.
You start off with common. You get 1 for your background, and you pick 1 from the standard list.
So
Oh,
what they're
okay.
moving
That's
towards
possible.
is the culture of 5th edition is very much like cosmopolitan, right? Like modern American city melting pot is kind of what the audience for 5e is after. They do not want clearly defined like racial tensions and all of that. They want cultures and societies that have existed for thousands of years and have developed independently of race for the most part. Even like the super woke like Radiant Citadel that they went out of their way to get like as much representation as possible, as much diversity as possible. They still got hammered on that because the hub city is ruled by a council that is represented by races, because they were basically copying the Mass Effect Citadel situation, and so people were still like, you still screwed it up, you still can't do anything right, which is the coast. And so like, yeah, the separation there of you have to take this language because you were an elf, that's like implying that I'm a Hispanic American, so I must know Spanish, right? Like that's not right. I grew up in America. I speak English. Blah blah blah. So that's kind of I think the influence that's going there as far as why you don't, as an elf, have Elvish by default.
Why it's not baked into the race, except for
exactly
Dragonborn.
But this is like, here's me just trying to say that we can all coexist in the same space. If your campaign setting is set in an age of magic or is just built around cultural and racial tensions and things like that, and your group is totally okay with that, you might say, yeah, like all elves in the setting, or the majority of elves in the setting, are insular, and they all try to stay to themselves. You would need to give me a very good excuse or a very good reason of why you did not grow up among elves, and why you wouldn't know Elven as a starting language, and all that of course comes down to good communication within a group and advertising for your game and all that. But I understand the decision that was made and why they made it, and to stay in good favor with the majority of the 5th edition audience, I do think it was a smart decision on their part to divorce that sort of language from character. So yeah. But good thing to kind of shout out, because I don't think a lot of people even realize that Dragonborn get that language as a bonus language, as a racial feature, and that race and language are not tied together anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I realized I didn't use any of my orc stuff.
I was gonna say I was waiting for you to like charge at people, and like adrenaline.
I kept using my bonus action on punching.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, your attack.
Well, and honestly, you were never too far away from anything, because these were relatively small maps. They're all 20 by 30s. So.
And as a monk, I have the extra movement, so I never had to dash really.
Yeah.
Doesn't it give you like temp HP too?
It does.
That's cool.
I liked removing the critical hit damage dice bonus from orcs. I think that was a smart move, because it definitely was kind of metagaming people into wanting to play barbarians and rogues and paladins with their orcs, because it's such a waste to play an orc with something that doesn't get weapon crit bonuses. So I thought that was actually a smart design choice as well.
I feel like they're doing that with feats as well. It feels like before the changes, the healer feat anyway seemed to be very aimed at one kind of character.
Rogue thief.
Yeah. But now with the change, they added you can roll hit die, or not hit die, but you can re-roll healing dice.
Spells.
Yeah, which is really cool. That's awesome. Like that's a feature in one of the sorcerer subclasses. Like that's not a very common thing. I think it's pretty neat.
And adding to that is the fact that eventually any caster could have access to healing if you wanted them to, right? You could build around that to, have a white mage wizard, and having the healer feat and getting access to those spells. It's just a natural thing that makes sense. I like that a lot. It gives a lot of flexibility to building without pigeonholing it, right? Without making you feel like I have to build this way. This is the meta way to build my character. So.
I feel like that's the direction they're going. They're making all the races, all the feats just accessible to any kind of character and be useful and stuff like that.
And I like
it's a shame they didn't completely copy Pathfinder 2 on certain things and say that like anyone could be like a tiefling essentially, because you just apply like the tiefling template to anything. I guess they did in sort of a lazy way, with the whole like you can come from any lineage you could imagine, but you still have to just take like one set of stats.
Well, I think the reason why they did that is to keep it simple.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But I do like that. I do like that you could say, yeah, I'm a gnome tiefling, and like I look like a gnome, but I have all these like tiefling abilities, and like that's kind of cool in my opinion. I think that's a really, really simple way to do it, but it gives people the ability. So all these people that are like, I hate Ardlings, cause look at them. I'm not gonna play that ugly thing. That's ridiculous. It's like, cool, be a half Ardling, and so you could be any sexy thing you want. You could be a sexy little elf and have all the Ardling's abilities. There you go. Now you have your beautiful, non-standard angel. Biblically inaccurate in every way.
Sexy elf body, frog head.
Exactly. Yeah.
All kinds.
So I do think that it's definitely the simplest solution to appease everybody. It just says, hey, sure, You want to be a Dragonborn. You want to look like a dragon, but you hate the Dragonborn abilities. Be a half Dragonborn. Now you're a Dragonborn, but you have dwarf abilities. There you go. Shut up.
I'm really interested in to see what they're gonna do with the other races when they probably go through and change them as well, if they even get changes. But definitely interesting to see. They've already changed a few of them. Like I know Asmare got a change in Morkainen's Guide of whatever the new one.
Monsters of the Multiverse.
Multiverse. Yeah.
I was kind of like unsure about all those changes, but now that I see that they're basically like they did that so it would match with what they're doing with ONE DnD, the decisions in Mordenkainen's make a lot more sense. Yeah.
The only thing I would like them to take another look at, because I do like that they've changed like the grappling condition is not just your speed zeros. I like that they clarified a lot of things, and that now they've like just baked in you can do it as an opportunity attack as long as you do an unarmed strike. But sometimes for low level play, you definitely like sometimes you have a better athletics score, right? So I'd like there to be some clarification if they're going to combine it or just change it into this new thing.
I think as it stands right now, we kind of hit upon the balance there, right? Raw, we allow homebrew that you can use an opportunity attack to do a grapple, which is now covered officially in the rules because you just use your opportunity attack to make an unarmed strike and grapple somebody. But at no point did they say we've changed the way athletics works. So you could still technically use athletics to bull rush, to shove, to grapple as well, but it's not as efficient action economy wise. So if you have extra attack, if you're a monk, if you're a monster with multi-attack, you're not going to waste your whole action doing an athletics. You're just going to use an unarmed strike to do it.
So with the addition of being able to grapple as an opportunity attack, is that like kind of everyone has a sentinel now, like a mini version of it?
In a way, it does put a lot more crowd control back into the hands of everybody. Yeah.
But keep in mind that whenever you do that, unless you have Tavern Brawler, every time you unarmed strike to grapple, it doesn't do any damage. It's just a grapple.
Yeah, it's true. It won't do damage. And it'll still let you do damage.
Think about this. Unarmed strike can be anything, right?
Yeah.
You can trip somebody with your foot, right? So like, but you can't grapple unless you have a hand free.
Yeah.
All right, but listen to me. I'm a dwarf. I got a shield and I got a mace, and somebody's moving away from me. I know that they're going to go and ring that alarm. I know that they're going to go attack my friend who's on the ground. I just body check them with my opportunity attack and knock them prone. Well, now they just lost half their speed. Not as good as grappling them. It still slows them down enough that maybe they don't reach what they were trying to reach.
But you don't have to drop your weapons, you know?
But you don't have to drop your weapons and stuff. It's so versatile. It's so good. I can't get over how much I really like that change. Such a small change, but it mechanically, we got to see it over and over and over again today in effect, and it was really cool.
I always made fun of how the grappling condition, and now I can't anymore. So really, it's a loss.
Yeah, because a lot of fights, I'll be on this side, the people on that side. We just run at each other, and then that's it. There's no more movement.
Yeah.
It's just until one of us falls down. But now, we were going around each other, trying to push each other into streams and whatnot. And
Also, this also because, this is based on a 4th edition adventure, so it had lots of cool terrain and stuff like that to interact with. But as a dungeon master, your party is beat to shit, but for some reason, you still rolled for that random encounter. And the 2 owlbears showed up, and they're going to claw bite everyone to death. And you're like, I don't necessarily have to do it, because now the owlbears are knocking you down first, and they're knocking you around. And who cares if they knock you down, and now they have advantage on the next attack? That's one less attack that you dealt to them, and it's not like they're going to get a critical and do extra damage. Do you know what I mean? So, you can make it feel more, authentic, right? So this owlbear, of course, you're going to have it run up, swipe to knock you down first, because that's how bear do, right? He want to knock you down, and then he wants to maul you. And so maybe he pisses away his first 2 attacks that could have done a shitload of damage just knocking you to the ground. And then he starts biting you and trying to deal with it. Or maybe he knocks you down, and then he grapples you with his bite, and then he swipes you. So now you are prone and grappled, but you didn't take 3 hits from an owlbear.
But he did make 3 attacks, so it still seems
so it gives the DM some opportunity, some flexibility to make the encounter harder or easier, however they want to do it. It's just so good. It's so good, and it gives monsters battlefield control, because you try to get away from the owlbear, and the owlbear just swipes at you with its claw and says, and it like grapples you. You didn't take a huge hit from the owlbear, but you didn't get away from it.
Monsters
And that's
can do that too. So.
yeah, that's what's really cool about it. I just think it blew my mind today how one simple change to unarmed strike could so dramatically impact the game. I'm really impressed with it. I really hope that they don't listen to all these haters out there that are like, we don't need to change it, everything's great, and they fill out the survey and they lie and say that they play tested it. You didn't play test it. You theory tested it. That's not the same thing. Like, theory testing is not the same as actually playing it. I learned so much today that theory testing would not have shown me. Yeah. All right. Was there anything that from the new stuff that you guys were like, this is dumb? Like, why are we doing this? Did anything like stand out as like, why would we use this rule? Why would we change to this?
Most of the stuff that I was like, this is dumb, was rules that are usually homebrew and fixed anyway in like the regular game, if that makes sense. So it's like nothing.
Were they SRD? Yeah, were they SRD stuff?
They were SRD stuff. It wasn't like ONE DnD stuff. Like most of the ONE DnD stuff, like I either was neutral on or I liked much better.
Yeah, same here.
Sweet. All right.
I think the only thing I would really say would be I want crits to be maybe just for like big bosses, but not for like mooks like kobolds would be. But I guess it's more of a DM can make that choice on their own, you know?
I mean, yeah, we'll see what they do about the monster design when they put the monster manual UA out.
And keep in mind, they're I think more than likely they said already they're gonna revise the DM's guide too. Yeah. And I think in the optional rules section, monster crits are going to be right there on the list. Like, do you want to run a harder, more unpredictable game? Consider monster crits. Maybe only give them to your bosses. Maybe give them to all the monsters. However you do this is going to dramatically change the difficulty of your campaign. They claim that the DM's guide is going to read more like a toolkit than a sort of dialogue about being a dungeon master, which I think is part of the problem. It's a very wordy document.
Imagine reading the DMG. Couldn't be me.
Yeah. So it's a very wordy document as is, and I think they're talking about trying to present it in a very like, you look in here, you find the thing that you need, and you're like, that's what I need, and then you use that thing. So hopefully they actually stick to that as well. But yeah, I could definitely see the monster crits being added back in through an optional rule. But then the default game, the vanilla game, is a safe environment. Like, you know that you're going to be able to go in there and not get murdered on the road to Phandalin by a critical hit from a sniping goblin.
And I think that's kind of the point of ONE DnD is they want this version of D&D to be accessible to anyone. So I can definitely see them having a lot more optional rules.
For
so
sure.
You can kind of change the way you play the game, but someone who's just getting into it, never touched a set of dice before, playing with the easier rules that are maybe easier to understand and then aren't as plentiful and just easy to digest, it would probably be, for everyone, rated E.
Yeah. A Dark Souls kid sits down to play D&D and has their first character that they've spent 3 or 4 hours thinking up and building and commissioning art for. That character gets massive damage, critically killed by a goblin ambusher on the way to Phandelver, and they're like, fuck yeah, this game's amazing. Everyone else besides the Dark Souls kid is like, I don't think I'm gonna ever play D&D again.
Yeah,
that was horrible.
Yeah, because it comes out of nowhere, and they have no reason to. They just like, why is that a thing that can happen?
Yeah, I keep bringing that up because it's the most infamous way to die in 5th edition.
That's
it's
low levels are scary.
Yeah.
Also, Life Cleric, Wizards release Life Cleric. When are we gonna get Life Cleric added to the game? It was so nice having a Life Cleric in my party.
A cleric. Just walk me through this. A cleric that can effectively heal. I don't know.
I don't know.
It just seems it just seems made up. Like, I just can't
Crazy.
imagine that this is a real thing.
Also,
So-
Go ahead.
My first ever cleric was a life cleric, and that was like 5 years ago. I
Oh,
haven't touched it
man.
since.
Also-
my first cleric was a grave cleric while grave cleric was still UA, and they were good, but they weren't great. And I remember just being so frustrated because I was like, I can't keep these people alive. And like Reddit's like, you idiot, you absolute noob, you nincompoop. Are you playing a life cleric? I'm like, no. They're like, there you go. There you go.
I
Like,
think
that's-
I would like to see them touch on healing in 5e, I think, in general. So I feel like
Yeah.
healing in 5e is a little not great. It's a little rough to
F's in
do.
the chat for Grave Cleric too, because I guess you don't have a 6th level feature anymore. But I guess maybe they'll update.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
they changed the I think Grave Cleric can nullify a crit. And
Yeah. And
now
what are we
let's
gonna do about
do it.
crits? Yeah, exactly. So, very excited. Honestly, this playtest today made me even more excited for more ONE DnD to come out. And so maybe we can get together on the next release and we could just take the same group and kind of see where they go next, follow that treasure map or whatever.
I was really expecting today to come in and hate the rules, but I'm really pleasantly surprised. I actually had like a lot of fun with them, which is nice.
I did feel like I was playing with baby toys with without using our 60-something pages of homebrew. I did kind of feel like we were playing like baby Dungeons and Dragons SRD. But honestly, after a little while, I was like, this is nice. This is really chill. Like, this is really chill. We're just hanging out. We're playing D&D. Obviously, there was like challenging stuff. Those dragon shields are allegedly CR1. I feel like they definitely perform. They perform way above CR1.
I was very sure I was gonna die with all the extra
And
swarms.
the inventors are listed as CR1 quarter. Get the fuck out of here. CR1 quarter? I don't think so. This is like a boss monster, basically. Like the green
Summoning
slime
some-
and the rock rubs.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but you said there was a thing where the swarms go away after a while, or
The centipedes and the wasp go away after. There's a 50% chance at the end of each of the swarm's turns that it just disperses and gives up. And the skunk, he was bluffing you. He only get one butt squirt per short rest. He only gets one butt squirt per short
So I
rest.
slaughtered him for no
he
reason.
he just sits there.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not the best for playtesting, I guess, to use the Kobold Inventor because I don't even know if that got reprinted in Mordenkainen's or if they just pretended this never existed. It's from Volos, which is now, a taboo book or whatever. But I think they're a really fun and flavorful way to kind of show off the kobolds and
Scorpion
their
on a stick.
their inventiveness or whatever. But allegedly, when you build a monster, if it has summoning capabilities, you have to factor those summoning capabilities into your CR, and there ain't no way if you're summoning swarms and green slime and rot grubs, there's no way that you are a CR 1/4. So I'm very sorry, that encounter was way over tuned for you guys.
All right, we got that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
don't worry, SRD Ranger.
that's
So
true.
I felt
yeah,
OP. I make 2 attacks.
that's true.
Between-
Yeah,
Between SRD Ranger and SRD Life Cleric, unstoppable. Purely.
absolutely.
Primeval awareness. If we ever thought like we made to the wrong cave, I know where that dragon's at.
I think I had a subclass. I don't know.
You think you had a
Evoker.
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
you were. I don't
Yeah,
know. What
it
were
was-
you?
no, it's
You
evoker.
gotta be a evoker.
You were-
Yeah, you gotta be a evoker.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a fairy
That ability's
godmother.
never
You're just
coming
putting
up.
everyone to
Yeah.
sleep with your fairy
The-
wings flying.
Yeah,
around.
yeah. I mean,
Owl
you don't
assistant.
need it when you get sleep.
Maybe your allies think that you're a hallucination because anytime the conversation goes in a bad direction, you just put people to sleep. Like,
That sounds a little problematic. I don't know.
I mean, you tuck them into bed at least. It's not too bad, but yeah. I don't know. I thought it was really good, so I'm excited to see what comes next, and I can, with full confidence, go onto any social media platform and argue my opinions on ONE DnD, knowing that I at least put in 6 hours of playtesting.
6.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point him to this
6 hours.
video and say, hey.
Yeah,
6 hours of playtesting. The Dom and I put in what 2 or 3 hours of theory crafting when we sat there on stream, talking about the rules and how we thought they were going to be. But now we know much better like how the rules actually are. So
I joined this chat eating breakfast, and now I have to go get lunch.
yes,
Same.
yes.
Yeah.